It's time for fantasy football semi-pros. Let's do it again.
You ready? You got me running.
Well, hopefully, third time's a charm. Welcome
We're-
back to another episode of Fantasy Football Semi-Pros.
Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties, so I had to put my mouth right here next to the mic. Boom, mic, boom, boom, boom. I don't know if it's working, but I'll talk louder.
Well, today, we're going to start by breaking down the AFC North and South. But before we do that, we got to keep trade cut.
Okay, well, who are they?
So these are three receivers that are being drafted in about the same area. This is actually a realistic, you're going to have to make the choice during your draft here.
Okay.
Terry McLaurin, Michael Pittman Jr., or DJ Moore.
I'm definitely keeping Michael Pittman because of Matt Ryan.
I
That's it.
agree with you there. I like Michael Pittman. I think he has a wide receiver one upside.
Absolutely. And I think this is the best quarterback he's played with since his time in Indianapolis. Next, I know a lot of people love Terry McLaurin. I'm trying to get as much value out of him as I possibly can. You mentioned before we had to restart again, this is the best quarterback Terry McLaurin has played with, a.k.a. Carson Wentz. I'm cutting DJ Moore. We don't know who the quarterback is in Carolina. It's going to be Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield or some other chump off the street.
Sam Howell. Or no, Matt Corral.
Matt Corral.
He's the third string.
Matt Corral. Yeah. So we don't know who the quarterback situation is, and that can be tough for wide receivers. So keeping Michael Pittman, trading Terry McLaurin, cutting DJ Moore.
And I would keep Michael Pittman. I would trade DJ Moore because I think a lot of people are still high on him, especially if Baker Mayfield's playing at quarterback.
Okay.
And even with the crap quarterbacks that DJ Moore has had, he constantly hits 1,000 yards a year. And then I'm going to cut Terry McLaurin in this case because apparently Jahan Dotson is putting on a show there in Washington.
That's fair. I mean, I've never been high on Terry McLaurin.
And they still have Curtis Samuel.
That old part?
All right. Well,
how does it tell you, old man?
that was our keep trade cut.
Keep trade cut.
So now we'll start with the AFC North. And we're going to start with the betting favorites for the AFC North, Baltimore.
What?
Baltimore,
What?
their win total is 10.5 points.
10.5 games.
10.5 games.
Over
And
under. What?
their odds to win the division right now, a plus 160.
What? They're better odds than the Bengals? That's BS. All right, whatever.
So, notable fantasy potential players for this team. Quarterback, you got Lamar Jackson. Running backs, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Mike Davis, and Tyler Beatty.
Okay.
Wide receivers, Rashad Bateman, Devin Duvernay, and James Prochet. And then at tight end, you got Mark Andrews and rookie Isaiah Likely.
There's really only two people I'm willing to draft at all from this team.
Lamar Jackson and
Mark Andrews. I'm avoiding every running back out of Baltimore. I'm avoiding every wide receiver out of Baltimore. I put a lot of faith in Rashad Bateman last year, and it sucked. It was the most disappointing thing I've ever seen in my life.
And I'm mostly in agreement with you. Mark Andrews, I drafted him in Dynasty when we first started our Dynasty League. And
because we thought he was going to be the shit.
No. He was a late round pick for me.
Thought he was going to be awesome. He's a good fill-in. He's a top 10 tight end.
Lamar Jackson, he's come into camp, bulked up, and apparently has been working on his throwing. So we could see some better out of him, but who knows?
Or he's just a better running back that can throw the ball.
And right now, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, they're still on the PUP list. If they start the season on the PUP list, they miss a minimum of 6 games. If they're taken off before the season, they can play whenever. So that's why Mike Davis and Tyler Beatty could be interesting names here.
I mean, Mike Davis has shown 2 years ago after CMC went down that he's a reliable running back.
Yeah.
And he can handle the load of a starting running back. But it's just too much of a committee in Baltimore for me to trust them.
Fair.
So.
And then Rashad Bateman, actually, he's interesting to me. Like, I've been avoiding him in any mock drafts I've done. But doing a little more research, in the 8 games that Bateman had 5+ targets, He had hit double-digit fantasy points in 6 of those.
Okay, but I don't need just double digits from a wide receiver. I need like 20 points
But
from a wide receiver.
where you're getting Bateman at, he's a good 3rd or 4th receiver.
I guess. I mean, a bench player for me. I just can't trust him, man. I can't.
Fair. And even though I have this note in here, I'm probably still not drafting Bateman.
Me neither.
I don't trust that Baltimore offense.
Me neither. There's like I said, 2 people: Lamar, Mark Andrews.
And honestly, I'm out on Lamar Jackson because he just goes too high for me.
Yeah. I mean, if Lamar Jackson were for some reason, I mean, he's a top 10 QB every year, but at the same time, I'm not willing to take him in the 3rd or 4th, 5th round, especially in redraft or if you're starting a new dynasty league. Absolutely not.
Lamar scares me because the last 2 years he's missed quite a bit of time.
Mm-hmm. He's injury prone. So the running quarterback, the mobile quarterback.
All right, so then we'll move on to the reigning AFC North or AFC champions.
You know what? I'm a little.
Oh, actually, before we do that,
I'm irked by this because Baltimore has a better chance of winning the division by betting odds.
They have an easier schedule.
But I don't give a crap. I mean, everybody argued, and I have a lot of Baltimore fans as friends, and they were like, "Oh, well, our defense was ripped apart last year by injuries." I don't give a crap. I don't give a crap. We went into Baltimore and we stomped you. You guys came to Cincinnati, we stomped you. Same thing with Pittsburgh. Don't care. I don't care about injuries. That's what happened to the Bengals year after year after year, and all you guys did was talk smack. All right, it's our turn. We whipped your butt. We got gypped in the Super Bowl, all right? And we're not even the favorites to win our own division? That's sus to me. That's suspect to me. I don't agree with it. You bettors in Vegas and all around the world, you guys are dumb. I'll put my money on the Bengals win the AFC North this year.
So, Baltimore, 10.5 games, their win-loss total.
Under.
You're going under?
I'm going way under.
Oh, interesting.
I will be surprised if they win 7 this year.
Interesting. I am going under as well, but I don't think it's quite as bad.
You're going to
I'm
say
going to go
10
8 or 9.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so now to the reigning AFC champions, the Cincinnati Bengals. Their odds to win the division, a plus 1,800. 180,
God,
sorry.
Do read. Their over-under is 9.5.
Yep. And their notable players, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Chris Evans, Samaje Perine, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Hayden Hurst, and Drew Sample.
Mm-hmm.
And with this one, I know you're high on Burrow for fantasy.
I think this year, when he's healthy, I think he's a good quarterback.
I really, 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 really like Burrow.
He's a value pick late, though.
It's the thing. He's not going late. He's about the 5th or 6th quarterback off the board.
But what round?
That I can still get quality receivers where you picked Burrow in our mock draft.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fair.
Or a good mid round running back that I have for injury depth.
Okay, that's fair.
Joe Burrow, and as much as I love Joe Burrow, he scored 47% of his fantasy points last year in the last 2 games of the season.
I mean, yes, I understand that. And I didn't have anything on Burrow last year. I didn't have any stock in Burrow last year. I think if this offensive line is rebuilt, revamped like they say they did, and they went out and made the moves for it, you can go and you can throw the ball 30, 40 times a game.
That's the thing, though.
Will Zach Wilson do it? Or not Zach Wilson. Zach Taylor do it?
And that's the thing. The Bengals, they run a slower offense,
but it's explosive at the same time.
Quarterbacks, unless you're the rare Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, which Joe Burrow can be, you're not likely going to be in the top 10 with adding as little with their legs as he does.
Right.
And actually, even last year, he ran 51% less than he did the year before.
Well, he had a messed up knee.
It was healthy last year.
Well, he still got a brace on it.
I'm not saying being a top 5 quarterback is out of the realm for possibility for Burrow.
Right. But you're
But
not willing
I'm
to
not
draft
put-
him as high as people are
Yeah.
taking him. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. Our approaches are different, and when I know this is a redraft episode, but when we started our dynasty league, I went running back and quarterback heavy
Oh, I
in
went,
our super flex league.
dude. I went quarterback heavy.
I went running back and quarterback heavy, and I won the league the first year. And then Deshaun Watson does his thing, and Derrick Henry was hurt last year, so was Alvin Kamara last year. And I was like, oh, I have so many quality running backs. I can go and get wide receivers and fill in some weak spots in my lineup, and that just really bursted my bubble. But I mean, I like Burrow.
No, dynasty, especially at least Superflex. I'm fine with quarterback early. Remember, my first pick was Patrick Mahomes.
I think mine was Kyler Murray. No, mine was Derrick Henry and then Alvin Kamara
But
and then Kyler Murray.
at redraft, I told you, I'm fine waiting on quarterback.
Yep.
In the end, you gotta know your league, and if you want to draft Burrow, do it. Fantasy football, you play it for fun.
Yeah, I want my guys. I want my guys that I like. I also want to win. But
Yeah, and that costed you last year. You
Kyler
paid out
Murray.
the butt to get Kyler Murray.
Yeah,
and-
but guess who I have now? Jonathan Taylor.
Fair.
Yeah. Guess who I got rid of? Calvin Ridley. Yeah. Yeah.
Fair. But how'd that help you last year?
Hey, sometimes you gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet. Now I have Jonathan Taylor, so I'm not mad.
Anyways, Joe Mixon, very solid fantasy player last year. Definitely somebody I'd be willing to draft. I think he's going in the second round.
Yeah, I mean, if this offensive line is as good as it say it's gonna be, he's definitely moving up my radar for sure.
Yep. And then there's talk Chris Evans could be taking the number 2 spot over P. Ryan, which could be exciting because Chris Evans is a very exciting kind of.
He's a great athlete.
Pass catcher in
as
the
a
backfield.
6th-round pick a couple years ago in the draft. I mean, I remember thinking that's a good pick for the Bengals. That's a really smart draft pick right there.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have Captain America on your team.
Yeah, you're right.
And then wide receiver wise, Chase, he's going first, second round. Higgins,
A little bit later.
he's maybe a round or 2 later.
I just think, man, if this offensive line can hold up and give Burrow more time, this offense is going to be scary.
Oh, definitely. And then they added a pass catching weapon at tight end with Hayden Hurst.
Yeah. There's a lot of weapons.
Now-
Is he still...
I'm not drafting Hurst because, I mean, we saw CJ Uzama last year. He had his games where he hit, but more often than not, he was unusable.
Yeah, it was either a home run or nothing.
And
Strikeout.
I think Hurst, he could be just that kind of bye week fill in for you, tight end, maybe a streaming option.
Yep.
But it's probably overall a better NFL signing than a fantasy football signing.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I think Hayden Hurst is going to fit in very well here. Just not sure how well he's going to produce for our purposes as fantasy football managers.
And then Tyler Boyd, I'm probably avoiding him. He's going to have some games here or there, but he's probably the 3rd or 4th option on this offense. So.
I think if you can get him late, like 14th or 15th round, or maybe even just wait for free agency.
He could be a good guy if Burrow or Chase has some, or Burrow or Higgins have Chase or Higgins have to miss some time.
Yeah, go pick him up, stash him. I mean, stream him for buys or something. He's gonna have his big games. It's kind of like the same thing you said last year. He had some big games, but it was few and far between. So, just
All
like
right.
CJ Uzama.
So the Bengals win total set at 9.5 games. They've got a really tough schedule this year.
Yeah, but
So what are your thoughts? Over under?
over. And I'm gonna say 11 wins. They're gonna go
All right.
11-6.
I'm gonna go. I think that's a really good line for them. I'm gonna go over and give them 10 wins.
So 10-7. So did they win the division or are they second place?
We'll talk about that later.
Okay. Because right now you have the Bengals and then the Ravens. So, because you said 8 or 9 for the Ravens. I remember.
All right. Well, the next team we got is Cleveland. Their odds to win the division are plus 300. Now, when I looked, I had to find that off of FanDuel last night because this division was not on DraftKings.
Huh.
And it's because of all the controversy with Deshaun Watson. So I know what your stance is.
Not going to talk about it.
Right now, Deshaun Watson is suspended for 6 games. That came from an independent, jointly appointed arbitrator. Sorry. And the reasoning for that, he actually wasn't found guilty of the crimes. And she went off of past precedents and the rules that NFL currently has.
Okay.
And that's how she came to the 6 games, saying that they want to change it, but they can't do it after the fact. The rules. The NFL has appealed this.
Because they want more games than 6 games.
Now, what I was hearing with this, they were negotiating, trying to set a deal. Watson's group wanted 6 to 8 games at most. The NFL, the lowest they said they go is 12 games and like an $8 million fine. But in the end, I think the NFL once a year. Did you hear why that the NFL may be looking for 12-game minimum?
Is it just to set a precedent?
No.
What's
Cleveland's playing Houston in the 12th game, and they don't at Houston.
They don't want him back in Houston. Okay.
But with that, Jacoby Brissett's backing up Watson. Jacoby Brissett, while he's not a great quarterback, he's a serviceable backup.
I would say super flex league is not a bad one to have. Except if you're me.
Oh, he didn't even use him in super
flex.
flex.
On your bench when he goes off for 35, and then you're like, oh, well, maybe I should play this guy. And then he puts up a dud of 14, and you're like, oh, I'm going to bench him. Then he goes back to 30, and you're like, God dang it. I couldn't get it right with Jacoby Brissett. I'm not touching either one of these guys this season.
As for running backs, Nick Chubb, maybe Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt has requested. I got it this morning. He's requested a trade, but apparently
Cleveland said no.
Privately rejected that request.
And then they re-signed Dearness Johnson, who did really well last year when both of these guys were out.
Yep, Chubb and Hunt were injured. Dearness Johnson carried the whole team.
If Hunt is gone, Dearness Johnson's somebody interesting in the draft later in the draft.
Yeah, he could definitely. Yeah, I mean, we see how much work Kareem Hunt gets. So, yeah, Dearness Johnson could be a really, really, really high-value pick for not a lot of cost.
And then at wide receiver, Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, David Bell. The only one I'm considering drafting is Cooper, and I'm probably avoiding it.
Yeah.
And then tight end, David Njoku, Harrison Bryant. And they just re-signed David Njoku for a good amount of money.
So he's probably tight end one, but I do like Harrison Bryant. I just need to see more out of him.
I still have Bryant stashed in a couple dynasty leagues, but
that's fair.
Njoku's got insane talent.
He's a great athlete, that's for sure. I think though, there's only 3 people in a redraft format that I'm really willing to take here.
Cooper, Hunt, and Njoku.
Why not Chubb?
Or that's what I meant. Chubb, Hunt, and Cooper. Sorry, that's what I meant.
I was gonna say Chubb, Hunt, and Cooper. Yeah, Njoku. He's a later round guy for me. I like
if I punt tight end, he's someone I might target or try to stream.
I go tight end late, yeah.
But one thing I heard about Cleveland is they have the easiest strength of schedule for like the first half of the season when Watson couldn't will realistically be suspended.
So the odds are in their favor.
So Cleveland 8.5 wins.
I'm still going under, dude. I'll say they'll get 8, but I'm going under.
Yeah, as of right now, I know Cleveland at the current suspension of 6 games. Watson does not miss any games against the Bengals. I know he at least gets the Ravens once, maybe twice. There's a lot of controversy. I think Watson's suspension does get increased. I'm going to go under.
Yeah, I just think there's too many distractions there. And I know these are professional athletes and they're supposed to be able to tune it out. But if you've ever been in a locker room, you hear the media. You hear the writers in the newspapers. You hear all this stuff. You're on social media. You hear what people are saying. It does mess with your head just a little bit. I mean, yeah, I don't think this is the year Cleveland gets back to the playoffs. So
So we're gonna go with the old Cleveland motto next year.
Reds rebuilding every damn season. Yep, pretty much.
All right, and then the last team for the AFC North, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their odds to win the division are 900 plus 950, and right now their win total is set at 7.5 points.
7.5 games.
Yeah, games. Sorry. Quarterbacks. Right now, the quarterback room's a little murky. You got Mitchell Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, and Kenny Pickett. And on the depth chart, they are ranked in that order. Out of camp early, though, Trubisky struggled. And they're saying that Rudolph actually has a legitimate chance to win this starting job.
I mean, he's been in the offense for, 3 or 4 years now. He has real time experience.
He did lead them to an 8-8 season, and I think they made the playoffs.
I'm not sure.
And Kenny Pickett, they just said like the game's too fast for him right now.
And that's fair. You need those guys that maybe a development year will be good for him.
Oh yeah, definitely. Running backs, you got Najee Harris, Benny Snell, and Anthony McFarland.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I'm avoiding Najee Harris this year.
Really?
The big reason is Najee Harris had an insane amount of work last year.
Yes, and 20-something points averaged a game.
And he didn't have a good average yards per carry.
That offensive line was terrible.
It is, and they didn't really improve it.
Right.
And he got a lot of pass catching work because old man Ben Roethlisberger couldn't throw the ball.
And that's not going to be the case this year. But at the same time, you have Trubisky and Rudolph. And
Trubisky's actually quite mobile.
Yeah.
And that's going to take away from those dump-offs to Najee Harris. Now, I'm not saying Najee's not a good running back. But I'm not paying the price to get him right now.
Okay, here I'm going to chime in. Yeah, there's probably 15 running backs I'm willing to take before Najee Harris in the draft. But if I can maneuver a trade for Najee Harris, not giving up a whole lot. I know it's I want to win this trade. Give it a couple weeks, see how it goes, and see if you can get a low ball offer for Najee Harris, especially in a keeper league. I think it'd be a great value going forward, but
quite possibly at wide receiver.
But this year, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, at wide receiver, they got the newly extended Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool,
avoid,
George Pickens, and Calvin Austin III. And while Johnson was holding in, we don't call it holding out anymore because they have to show up, otherwise they get fined. While he was holding in, there was a lot of buzz about Calvin Austin. He was taking advantage of the situation.
Apparently, during a 2-minute drill, Chase Claypool caught a 12-yard pass in the 2-minute drill and started doing the Macarena. Pittsburgh offense ran out of time. So he pretty much killed their drive because he was wasting time doing the Macarena.
I'm not a fan of George Pickens. I just haven't been since he's been drafted.
That's fine.
Sorry, not George Pickens. Chase Claypool.
Yeah, Claypool's a cancer.
I mentioned that 47% of Burrow's points last year came in 2 games. 11% of Claypool's career fantasy points came in 1 game. 1.
Is it against the Bengals?
I don't think it was against the Bengals. I just remember he went off for 4 or 5 touchdowns in that game. Or 3 or 4. He had a crazy game his rookie year.
And
now,
that was it.
Part of that could be Roethlisberger couldn't throw the ball last year. But I don't think Claypool's going to last much longer because Pickens.
Antics.
Well, not only that, Pickens and Austin, they drafted them this year, and they already re-signed Johnson. Claypool could be on his way out in Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh doesn't usually keep wide receivers.
I mean, we saw what they did to Juju. They got him for super cheap after his rookie deal, and then they were like, "We know what, we're done with you."
Yeah, and the only wide receiver they've really kept over the years, Antonio Brown. Until Antonio Brown forced his way out.
Yeah. What about Hines Ward? Hines Ward retired.
Yeah, Hines Ward, but that was before Tomlin time.
Yeah.
But I really like George Pickens. There's been a lot of buzz out camp. This guy isn't
athlete.
Yeah, he's a huge athlete. I mean, he didn't do much at Georgia last year because he was just coming off that hamstring injury.
Is he Carl Pickens' son?
I don't know.
I'm gonna Google that.
And then at tight end, you got Pat Fryermuth, who I really like Fryermuth and what he did last year, but with Ben Roethlisberger not there anymore and then having quarterbacks with better arms, I'm probably avoiding Fryermuth. So, Pittsburgh, they're set for 7.5 wins. What are your thoughts?
Under.
I do think they're going to struggle, but
Apparently, George Pickens is not related to Carl Pickens at all. So,
I do think Pittsburgh is going to struggle, but Mike Tomlin always has them around 500.
I just think this is the year. He's never had a losing season.
Yeah,
I think-
so you always had him at 500. I'm
I
going
think
to
this is the
I'm going to
first.
go over on this one.
I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna say right at 7.
All right.
Yeah.
So, who is your pick to win the AFC North? I ask already knowing the answer.
Cincinnati Bengals, and I called it last year, guys. I did. I went back and I watched, and I said,
You said they'll make the playoffs.
No. I said I'm gonna make a bold prediction, and I'm calling it. The Bengals are gonna win the AFC North. I watched it.
Okay.
It was the 3rd episode we did last year.
And I know I went under on Baltimore, and I think I was wrong there. I am going to go with Baltimore to win this division.
So you're gonna say they're gonna go over 10 wins?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see.
All right, so now we'll move on to the AFC South, and we'll start with Indianapolis. Odds, their odds to win the division, negative 135.
So they're the clear-cut favorites.
Yep. Their win total, that's set at 10 wins. Quarterback, they got Matt Ryan, and I didn't put this one on here, but Nick Foles.
Okay, he's a good backup.
He's reunited with his old offensive coordinator where he won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Running backs, Jonathan Taylor. That's really all you need to know, but
Yep.
Naheem Hines and Philip Lindsay.
That guy could be crazy free agent pickup later. Who knows?
Wide receivers, we got Michael Pittman, Paris Campbell, Alec Pierce, Ashton Doolin. And Paris Campbell's actually been getting quite a bit of buzz out camp.
The only 2 wide receivers I'm willing to take a shot on in this offense, even though I love Matt Ryan, it's definitely Pittman and Campbell. Paris Campbell's a good athlete, good young athlete.
I'm probably still not touching Campbell in redraft.
It would be late. I'm saying after the 10th.
He'd be a free agent pickup if he has a couple games for me.
Okay.
And then tight ends, you got Mo Alley Cox and Jelani Woods.
2
Realistically,
really good athletes.
there's 3 guys here, possibly a 4th, that I'm drafting on this team, and it's Ryan. I'm going to go 3. It's Taylor, Pittman, and then Hines would possibly be my 3rd.
A later round
Because they
third
are-
round back.
No, yeah, he's 3rd down back, and they are saying that they are trying to get usage for him. He's someone I would slightly consider. I haven't done it, but somebody's gonna have to take the role if Taylor gets hurt
Yeah.
too.
I don't know. I just remember watching Indianapolis play Baltimore last year early, like week 4 or 5, before Baltimore's defense was ripped apart due to injury. And Jonathan Taylor takes a screen pass and runs it 86 yards for a touchdown against that defense. I'm like, I like those touchdowns. That's a point for the reception.
That's the big reason I'm not really looking at Hines is because Taylor can catch. Now, what worries me is the last 2 years he's had quite a bit of passing work, but Taylor also had, I think, the highest amount of carries in the red zone.
So
touchdowns are not a stat that you want to rely on. And I don't foresee him getting that many carries in the red zone this year. I still think he's going to be a running back 1. But
He's gonna be
I
top
don't
5.
I don't know about that.
Who would be your top 5 running back?
I'm not saying that he's not ranked in my top 5 right now.
Well, yeah, then you're going to take him early.
But I'm saying there's a very good chance that he may not be in that top 5.
Well,
I'm just saying there may be some regression. For
Derrick
him.
Henry missed half a season and was still in the top 10.
What does that have to do with Jonathan Taylor?
I'm just saying, the guy's a great athlete, and I think the older he gets, the more Indianapolis is going to be like, we got to get the mileage in him. We got to get the mileage out of him before he's too old to be this good
But
again.
not getting as many red zone carries is going to lead to less touchdowns. Touchdowns are what got him to where he was.
Why is he not going to get as many red zone carries? Why would you change your offense and take the ball out of your best player's hands?
I'm saying this team is more dangerous that they can score from further out now.
Okay, possibly.
And
Possibly.
just the sheer volume of touchdowns he had, it's unlikely to repeat.
Okay.
There's going to be some regression to the mean here.
Well, yeah, there's always a fluctuation, but I'm still willing to take him.
I'm not arguing. I would too. I'm just saying.
Okay, I don't know what we're arguing about. Move on.
So, Colts are projected at 10 wins.
I'm going to say over. AFC South looks pretty bad. I mean, Tennessee, they might split or go 2-0, but I think they sweep Jacksonville, they sweep Houston. I'm going to go over. I don't need to look at the rest of the schedule.
I'm going to go over as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's one loss to Jacksonville. Because Indy cannot win at Jacksonville.
They really can't. I mean, wasn't it last season if they win
at
Jacksonville, they go to the playoffs, and that didn't happen. So then,
all right. So we'll move on to defending AFC South champions, Tennessee Titans. Their odds to win the division are a plus 170, and their win total is set at 9 right now. Their quarterbacks, they got Ryan Tannehill and Malik Willis. Running back, Derrick Henry, Damian Hilliard, and Hassan Haskins. Wide receiver, they got Treylon Burks, Robert Woods, Westbrook Ikine, I can't remember his first name. I know it starts with an N. And Kyle Phillips. And at tight end, they got recent addition, Austin Hooper.
could be interesting.
I think here, quarterback, all you're going to have to worry about is Tannehill. I think Willis is a developmental piece for them.
Yes.
If they fall out of contention early, you could see the switch so they can see what they have in Willis. So,
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Henry, he's
gonna get his work.
He's gonna get his work, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do lessen his workload a little bit.
We'll see.
I have heard things that Hilliard could be taking some of the third down work. Hassan Haskins is a similar runner to Derrick Henry.
Yes.
As for the wide receivers, I think the guy you want here, he had a rocky start during rookie minicamp and OTAs.
Treylon Burks.
But yeah, Treylon Burks.
Don't sleep on Robert Woods.
I'm not there yet.
Don't sleep on Robert Woods. Okay, I'm telling the viewers.
But Treylon Burks, this guy's got just massive amount of talent.
Yes. For a very underperforming Arkansas team, he performed very well.
And I know I said it during our draft or during our podcast, during Dynasty podcasts. They traded away AJ Brown and drafted AJ Brown.
AJ Brown 0.2.
Yeah, Robert Woods. They're saying he's coming back great from his ACL injury. He's definitely could be somebody to watch. My only worry with this offense is their low passing volume.
Tannehill's the quarterback.
I'm not even worried about Tannehill all that much, especially if Henry's healthy.
That's true.
Because Henry helps draw some people into the box more, opens up the play action pass, where Tannehill's been very, very efficient.
Right.
Like I said, though, it's a low passing volume. Austin Hooper here is kind of interesting, but I'm probably avoiding him in drafts just because of low passing volume.
Yeah, I mean, if he's available as a free agent, see how he does a little bit, or just go out there and hope that he does well.
So,
free agent, though, at best.
I'm going to ask you a question. Last year's tight end for Tennessee was somebody
Johnny
you were
Smith.
super high on.
Johnny Smith?
Nope. I was going to see if you remember who it was.
Hold on, stop. Where the heck did he come from?
Anthony Ferkshire.
Ferkshire. Yeah, I was high on Ferkshire.
You were super high on Ferkshire, and he did nothing.
Yeah.
And
even
like I said,
Nostradamus didn't predict everything.
I think it's his offense. It's too flow of a passing game.
Mm-hmm.
So, win total 9.
Over.
You're gonna go over.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go under.
I'm gonna say they hover right around 10. I think they'll get their double-digit wins, but
I'm gonna go under / push because it's right at 9.
yeah, that's a hard one. I don't like these ones that are not halves.
Yeah.
I thought they were all supposed to be halves.
It all depends on how much they're betted one way or another.
Oh, okay.
All right, so our next team, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Their odds to win the division are plus 800, and their win total set at 6.5.
Under.
Quarterback, you got Trevor Lawrence. Running backs, you got James Robinson, Travis Etienne, and Snoop Connor.
Some dude out of
Wide receivers, you got newly signed Christian Kirk,
for a lot of money.
Marvin Jones, newly signed Zay Jones for a lot of money as well, Jamal Agnew, and Laquan Treadwell. And then at tight end, you got newly signed on a prove-it deal, Evan Ingram.
Wow, that's a prove-it deal then, huh?
1 year prove-it deal, okay? Our money. And Dan Arnold. Quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, I'm probably avoiding in redraft right now.
I'm avoiding him in redraft until he proves that he can produce
And
quality
personally,
fantasy football numbers.
The only person I'm really considering drafting from this team is James Robinson. ETN's going too high for where I'd like to see him right now.
And James Robinson is falling. He's falling.
He is.
I think in our mock drafts he went like 10th
But
round.
that's the thing.
Something.
Robinson may not be. He may start the season on the pup. And he's coming off, I think it was an Achilles injury.
Yeah, those are hard to come over.
And we saw how Cam Akers came off of that. And it was amazing he was able to do what he did. But he still didn't look very good.
No.
This is going to be about that same time frame. So I'm probably avoiding even James Robinson. But it depends. If he's like in the 15th round, yeah, I'm definitely.
Sure. Yeah, take him. Snag him.
So,
I'm avoiding this entire offense. There's a lot of hype around Travis Etienne. He hasn't proven anything yet.
well, he hasn't had a chance. He was
Right.
injured all of last year.
Right. So I'm very concerned with that aspect of it. I'm avoiding this offense like the plague.
Yeah, I'm pretty much avoiding this team as well, except for James Robinson.
And you all know James Robinson is my boy. I love the hype of James Robinson, man. Hey, James Robinson, if you play Warzone or anything, hit me up. Love to play some Warzone with you.
So, win total 6.5. You already said under.
Sick. Yeah, I'm gonna go 5.
I'm gonna go under as well. I think it's really close.
You think 6?
Right around there, yeah.
It could be.
And then we got Houston. Their odds to win the division are plus 3,000.
Wow.
Their win total is set at 4.5 wins. And this team could be interesting.
So if you bet $1 on them, and they actually somehow come out and win the division, and you bet $1, you win $3,001. $3,001.
So quarterback wise, they have Davis Mills, who he's interesting. I'm not drafting him in redraft.
Oh no, not redraft.
But this is this is your job to keep.
I like this situation because as the season progressed last year, you saw the progression of not only his gameplay but his fantasy output.
Davis Mills was probably the best quarterback, like best return on value out of quarterbacks last year.
Yeah. And I got him from you in a trade in our Dynasty League, and he's my QB2 right now.
I traded him for a third and another one.
I think I got Matt Ryan now. So I traded with Conor Murray.
But if he does well this year, I think he keeps the job next year.
Mm-hmm.
If they're drafting in the top 5, he's gone.
Yeah.
Running backs, you got retreads of Marlon Mack, Rex Burkhead, and then the guy who's actually had a lot of hype, and there's a lot of good coming out of training camp with him, Damian Pierce.
Yeah, apparently this guy's killing it.
Right.
He could potentially be RB1.
He definitely could be for Houston. He's somebody that's going very late in drafts as of right now.
Mm-hmm.
As more hype comes out on this is going to rise. So if you're drafting now might be the time to grab him late.
I would say double
Digit rounds.
10, 11? Too high?
12, 13 probably
Okay.
for me.
Okay.
But I'd probably take the shot at 10, 11.
But I'm still waving. I'm not touching Mac or Burfict.
No.
Sorry.
Wide receivers: Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins, and Chris Moore. And Brandon Cook's someone that anytime I get the chance, I'm trying to grab him.
Yeah, me too.
Cooks last year, 27% target share. That's the 8th highest in the NFL.
Yeah.
He had 15.3 fantasy points per game with David Mills.
Yeah, he
David
was a
Mills.
great wide receiver 3 for me.
Yeah, after the beginning of the season, people were saying he was done, he was toast, and then all of a sudden they just turned it on. Davis Mills hyper targeted Cook.
Yeah. Look,
And I wouldn't be surprised if it happens again this year.
Look, I got ripped apart in a dynasty league because early on I traded Juju Smith-Schuster for Brandon Cooks, and at that time Brandon Cooks was like number 6, wide receiver number 6, and it was a dynasty league, and they're like, "Why would you do this? Why would you give away the number 6 wide receiver?" And I'm just, it's old. The guy's old. I just want him for this year, and that was my thought process. I don't want Juju anymore, and I don't know. It worked out for me. I got a nice wide receiver 3 out of it.
Oh, they weren't getting on you. They were getting on the other guy because they thought you ripped him off.
Yeah, and the guy was not competing at all, and he's a Pittsburgh fan. He was like, "Oh, I like this guy, and he's younger, and Brandon Cooks isn't going to do me anything when I'm competing. He might be retired
But
by then."
that point aside, who cares?
Yeah, I
But
like Brandon
Cooks is someone definitely I'm trying to hyper target my drafts.
8, 7, 8.
I'm not sure where he's going right off the top of my head, but
I'd be willing to take him probably
6, 7 probably.
Mm-hmm.
And then tight end Brevin Jordan. You're not drafting him, but he has shown some promise. This is his 2nd year, so
Yep. Room for improvement.
So
Oh, sorry.
I know who I'm gonna say with this. Who's your choice to win the AFC South?
It's hard to repeat, and I've already called for a repeat. I guess Indy would take it.
I'm gonna go with Indy as well. I mean, that's who you had based off your win totals.
Yeah, it was. I said they would go over and get at least, I think, 11 wins. And I think Tennessee sits right at 10. I think it's going to be a close division.
It very well could be. And yeah, Tennessee, they're still a good team.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not discounting anything with them. But in the end, yeah, I'm going to go with Indy as well.
It's going to be a close race, guys. I think the AFC South is always close between 2 teams. That's it. Indy and Tennessee.
All right, so that does it for our AFC North and South breakdowns. Next week, we're actually going to record 2 podcasts on the weekend and release them during the week.
Mm-hmm.
Our next podcast is going to be the AFC East and West, and then we'll go NFC North and South for the one after that. But thank you again. Like and subscribe. Share our podcast out there.
Word.
Anything you can do to help us grow, we appreciate it.
Word.
Anything you want to add before we get out here?
No, I'm tired.
All right, you heard that. He's tired. You guys all get some rest for him.
You ready? You got me running, got me running.